Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Mel. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for supporting and watching all of my videos as we are launching this YouTube channel in 2024. So today I want to hop right in. So I want to talk about how to get into project management. So I get asked literally all the time, probably on a weekly basis, Mel, how do I transition into project management? I've done other videos on this channel about how to get into project management, how to pass the PMP, tips for transitioning into project management. I also have content on my TikTok as well. But as I am expanding my business and trying to be consistent on content, I figured I would do an updated guide. So feel free to check out my old videos, but we'll hop right in and catch you up here. If you are new, I'll do a quick intro. So I am currently a project manager. I actually own my own project management consulting agency where I do project management and process improvement for business owners. And then I also do professional development and career transition coaching for professionals who want to transition into project management or they want to transition into a new career as a whole. So that's a little bit about what I do now. I did a whole TikTok about how my career journey, and I'll do a separate video on that. But essentially, I started off, graduated from college with a biomedical sciences degree, and my first job was a front desk receptionist making like $12 an hour. Fast forward, I was able to get into the project management field. My first role in project management was as a project specialist, making like $80K. And then from there, within about a year, or within about 6 months, or a year or so, I was able to get my PMP. I was able to move into six-figure roles. And so for the past maybe 4 years or so, well, I'll actually say 5 years now, I've been able to, stay within the six-figure range, well into six figures now. And yeah, so that's a little bit about, my success in the project management career and how I help others do the same. So today I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide of how you're going to I have my notes here, of how you're going to get into project management in 2024. So get your notebook, get your pen, grab a drink. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible, but I'm going to make this a part one. If you want, what I'll do is I'll talk through everything. Leave me your comments and your questions below, and then the part two will do like a Q&A, and I'll answer all of your questions that you have about project management. So let's get started. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to become familiar with the project management terminology. So let's say that maybe you're already doing project management in your role, so you're already helping with strategic initiatives, you're already helping with product launches or marketing launches, or you're helping with projects in your existing role, but you don't call it project management, right? It's just a part of your everyday. What you want to do is you want to become familiar with project management specific terminology. So you want to know, what is a project charter? What is scope? What is scope creep? What is risk management? What is schedule management? What is quality management? Again, if you're not familiar with the PM terminology, you may not know exactly what I'm talking about. And so what I would do is I would go either on YouTube or on LinkedIn Learning and find an inexpensive or free course that will walk you through the PM terminology. This is really important because the number one way that you're going to be able to get through to an interview with your resume, or even be able to secure that job through your interview, you're going to be able to have to speak the PM language, and it is very specific. So again, you want to be able to know what stakeholders are, what a stakeholder register is, again, all the documents, project charter, project plan, the cost baseline, all of those things you can learn fairly quickly by taking a quick PM course. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of money on it. Again, LinkedIn Learning has some really good ones. There are also some good ones here on YouTube. But once you become familiar with the terminology, you'll be able to take that to assess what current project management experience you have. When you read job descriptions that are in project management, it'll start to make sense, and you'll be prepared not only when you go in the interview, but also when you get that first PM role. Okay? So become familiar with PM terminology. And then number two, you're going to assess your current experience. So again, a lot of us already do project management. Sorry, y'all, my eyes keep tearing up. So a lot of us already do project management in our roles. So again, a project essentially is something that you lead from start to finish. So that could either be a product, It could be a service. It could be, again, an initiative, maybe an initiative that your company has given you the task to implement this initiative to make the team or the department work more efficiently, like a process improvement project. But it's essentially anything that you are leading from start to finish. So typically whenever you start a project, you're going to gather requirements. So you're going to say who all needs to be involved, which are stakeholders with this project. What's the budget, what's the time frame, what is included within this initiative or project and what's not. So you want to kind of determine, you want to assess your current experience, because more than likely you're already doing that in some capacity. So you're initiating the project with the steps that I just mentioned, and then you're creating some type of plan that you are managing. You're managing the people and their tasks and their deadlines, keeping everyone on track and organized. You're keeping up with your documentation. Your leaders are coming to ask you, hey, what's the status of this? So you're providing them with weekly or bi-weekly or however status reports. And then you're seeing that project until the end, when it launches, when it goes live. Maybe you're offering go live support once it launches, and then you're monitoring its progress and then closing it out, right? So that's pretty much what a project is from start to finish. And more than likely you have done this in your role in some type of capacity. So you want to think about your current experience, think about your past experience, and write down all of the projects that you have led from start to finish. So you want to do it, and you want to be as specific as possible. So you want to make sure you're quantifying those projects. So how many people did that project impact? How many people did you work with? What types of people did you work with? Did you work with your internal team? Did you work with other teams within your organization? Cross collaboration teams? Did you work with vendors or third-party teams? Did you work with global partners? You want to be able to be as specific as possible. So you worked with X amount of people on this specific project. This was the outcome. This was the budget. This was how many people it impacted. So you want to make note of that, again, because you're going to take that information and you're going to plug it into your resume, but then you're also going to be able to speak to it when you have a PM interview. So you want to assess your current experience. And then once you assess your current experience, you want to determine which industry and or niche you want to move into. So I always tell my clients that whenever you want to move into project management specifically, it's always easier to move into it when you already have industry experience. So for my example, I was in healthcare project management, I was in healthcare like operations, and so it was easier for me to move into healthcare project management because I already had healthcare experience, right? So maybe you already have tech experience, maybe you were working in big tech, but now you want to move over into like healthcare IT, right? That's a reasonable switch. What sometimes is a little bit more challenging, it's not impossible, is when you don't have any PM experience, you don't have any industry experience, but you're trying to go be a PM in big tech, right? So it's doable, but sometimes it's more difficult. The way to be able to do that is through transferable skills. I will link a post that I did, I think on TikTok and Instagram, of how to move to different industries using transferable skills. So I'll link that below. But essentially you want to try to make that move lateral, meaning if you have healthcare experience, look for healthcare related PM roles. If you have tech experience, look for tech PM roles. And again, those tech roles can be in different industries, but you want to plug in, you want to look for roles that are in the industry that you already have experience in, because that's how you're going to be able to negotiate higher pay, especially if you don't have direct PM experience. Like for example, with me, when I moved into my first project management role, which was a project specialist, I was making $80K in that role. And although I didn't have direct PM experience, I did have my entry-level CAPM certification, and I did already have like 5 or 6 years of healthcare experience. So I was able to negotiate a higher salary. So that's just an example. But again, if you do want to move into a completely different industry, you can do that. You would just need to make sure you really hone in on your transferable skills in your resume. So I talked through moving into the same industry. So we're about halfway through this video. If you could, listen, we are new here. We are trying to be consistent on this page, and I want to make sure that I'm serving you. So if you can engage by liking, subscribing, commenting, again, what questions you have. If this is helpful, it lets me know that you like this kind of content, you need more of it. So yeah, support your girl as we are on this year of transformation through execution by being consistent on YouTube, okay? All right, so now that you have assessed your current experience, you've determined the industry that you want to go into. Next, you are going to review job descriptions for PMs that are in that specific industry. So same example, I'll use a different example. So let's say you have a background in marketing, you want to become a marketing PM, you want to go on LinkedIn or other job boards and search for open marketing project manager jobs. So you want to see ones that are currently open. You want to filter to the roles that you want, meaning salary wise. Maybe if you're looking for a remote, the exact role that you would want, you want to go and find it on LinkedIn. I would say find anywhere from 5 to 10 job requisitions and be able to pull out those keywords. So what are those jobs looking for? How many years of experience are they looking for? Are they looking for any certifications? Are they looking for someone that has technical knowledge, maybe with website design, or do they need someone that's more experienced with client-facing customer service type of projects? Why does that matter? Because if you're a marketer that has experience working with customers, then you're probably going to fit better with roles that are looking for someone that has client experience, right? Or if you're more technical, you're going to want to look for roles where you can really pull out your technical strong suit. You really want to understand what your strengths are, because again, with you being new to the PM field, what's going to help you negotiate still those higher salaries, even though you don't have direct PM experience, is your industry knowledge, as I mentioned before, and the specific skill sets that you have, whether you're stronger in client service, whether you're stronger in like the technical implementation or development, whether you are stronger in marketing or whatever the case is. You know, you want to be able to pull out budgeting. If you're really good with like financial forecasting, you know, there are PMs that one of their sole roles is to focus on like budget and cost baselines, right? So you want to look for roles like that. When you find roles that line up with what you want to do, you want to pull out those words, pull out those keywords, and it's almost like you want to do a comparison chart. So the next point is that you want to take the current experience that you laid out, you want to take the ideal role and the keywords and the requirements that was laid out when you did your research, and you want to do a comparison. So you want to identify the gaps. So maybe these types of roles that's earning this type of money are looking for people with 7 years of experience with the PMP, right? And you may have 5 years experience with no certification. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply to that role, because I would, and I'll be honest, when I was applying to PM roles, I didn't qualify for any of them, you know, on paper, but I was able to speak again to my strengths. I was able to speak to my skill set. I was able to speak to my industry experience, and that's how I was able to land those roles, even though I didn't check all of the boxes. So don't be discouraged if you find that like, oh, I got a lot of work to do, or I'm not ready, or I have to wait until, you know, 3 years from now to apply to PM roles. No, that's not the case. I would be flexible that maybe your first role may not be the title of project manager, but maybe it's a project coordinator, maybe it's a project specialist, maybe it's a process improvement coordinator, you know, maybe it's a project scheduler. So there are different titles that you can use to get roles in that will help you get your foot in the door in project management, and know that once you get your foot in the door, it only goes up from there. So I would be realistic about your gaps and create a plan around what you need to work on. Maybe you do need to go ahead and get the PMP. I did a video on the PM certifications that I've gotten and which ones I would recommend and not. I'll link that below as well. But it helps you be able to see like how you can get into those higher paying roles, but don't let it deter you from applying now. So once you identify your gaps, you want to start to rework your resume. So you want to rework your resume into a PM specific resume. So remember, you took all of your current experience. You want to be able to have a PM resume that, one, in the objective, it walks through the types of projects you worked on, the types of companies you worked with, and the PM tools that you have utilized. So whether that's Microsoft Project, Jira, Monday, Asana, Smartsheets, whichever ServiceNow, whichever PM tools you're familiar with, you'll want that in the objective as well. So you'll want to talk about the types of projects you worked on, the companies you worked with, the tools that you've helped, and just different, and just your strengths. So again, if your strength is customer service, you could say adept at customer service, providing the optimal customer service experience, something like that. So the objective, you're going to highlight that. Then when you get into the work experience and your bullet points, again, quantify everything. Manage a $10 million budget for the specific project that impacted X amount of employees, or manage client-facing projects for this specific software, right? I mean, again, this is very, very general. If you want I could do a separate video on like how to craft your PM resume. But essentially, how many people did you help? What was the result? What accomplishments did you have within that role that are related to project management? That's what you want to highlight. And so I can do a separate video on that. But once you rework your PM resume, and another thing about your resume, you can Google this. I mean, again, I offer resume writing services, but you can honestly Google PM resume templates. You can also utilize AI tools. So you can utilize ChatGPT or the resume, I can't think of the name, but the resume AI builder, I think it's Resume IO. I'll link it. But anyway, you can also utilize AI tools to help you, again, use the language and terminology needed for a PM resume. If you are going to use an AI tool, though, I would say that you don't want to copy it verbatim, because, again, you want it tailored not only to your experience, but also to the description of the job and the keywords in the job as well. But using AI tools are essential when you just need help, like coming up with the words for your bullet points, right? So you can use that as well. So once you've reworked your resume, you are going to obviously start applying to jobs, but in parallel, you also want to start preparing for your PM interview. So again, I can do a separate video on this, and I will link a podcast episode that I did on interviewing 101. But when it comes to preparing for a PM resume, you want to be able to, once again, very clearly talk through the projects that you have led from start to finish, how you manage that project documentation, how you manage your stakeholders and your people, how you were able to help with go live and support, how you were able to solve problems when problems arise, whether that's an upset stakeholder or maybe something went over budget or went past the deadline, how you were able to get the project back on track. Those are typical things that a recruiter is going to ask you. Again, they're going to ask you, what types of projects did you manage? What tools did you use? So again, that's where you want to talk about the software tools, PM software tools that you know. But you want to make sure that you prepare, because any PM interview, essentially, no matter what field it's in, is going to be relatively the same. So again, you can Google sample PM interview questions. But whatever question that you're answering, I always recommend using the STAR method. So if they ask you, tell me about a time where you had to juggle multiple projects at a time, and how were you able to manage that? So the situation is that you were given multiple projects to manage or competing projects to manage. You were given the task of making sure that all of them were executed on time and on budget. So you took this specific action. How did you prioritize your time? How did you manage expectations with your stakeholders? What actions did you take? And as a result, hopefully, ideally, all of those projects were able to be implemented on time and on budget. So you want to be able to, again, be specific about what you did in that project, not necessarily what your team did, but this is the time for you to brag about how you, as the project leader, was able to carry out this project and these projects from start to finish. So you want to go ahead and have those scenarios and have those stories in mind and practice your answers, because again, those PM interviews, all of them are pretty much going to be the same. So as you are applying, as you are interviewing, as you are starting to work on the gaps, whether that's getting a certification, getting more experience, learning more about the terminology, you also want to look at certifications. And again, I did a separate video on certifications. I'll link that. But you also want to get involved in PM communities. So Women of PM is a really good one. I did a podcast interview with them that I'll link below. And PMI, getting involved in your local PMI chapter is also essential. But getting involved in PM communities will also help you segue into project management quicker. And that's really pretty much all of my notes. I mean, I will say this, transitioning, you may be overwhelmed, and I will say that transitioning into PM is a lot of work on the front end, but once you do it, you're pretty much set, right? So for me, like, I got my CAPM, I started getting into project management, started taking courses or whatever on project management, was able to somewhat get in the door. And then once I got my PMP, I was able to move into six-figure roles. And once I did that, once I got my PMP and I moved into my first six-figure role, after that, it was pretty much smooth sailing. It was pretty much easy for me to either move up to senior project manager or program manager, or to move laterally to other project manager roles. It was obviously easy for me to segue into my business. And if you want a separate video of how to use your corporate skills to start your own business, I can do that too. But essentially, once you do the work on the front end, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there. Of course, there are different ways that you can make yourself more marketable, but a PM is a PM. So don't get overwhelmed. You probably are doing project management already, as I said. Just know where the gaps are, know what you need to do to make more money. And I hope that this video was helpful. Again, I'll do a part 2 where I'm answering some of your questions. So if you have any, leave them down below. If you are like Mel, I need somebody to do this for me. Again, I do offer career coaching and resume writing services, so I'll link my website below. If you're a business owner that needs a PM, I would love to serve you and serve your business journey and help you launch your strategic projects. So I'll link that below as well. And I think that's it, y'all. I thought about doing a virtual workshop, like a Q&A. So again, just tell me what you want in the comments and I'll make it happen, okay? I hope that you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more. I love y'all. I pray that y'all get into the career and business of your dreams in 2024. Again, this is the year of transformation. So I need all of us to transform into the life, the work, the money that we want to make, okay? In Jesus' name, I love y'all. Bye. Thank you.